Yes, again, welcome to With Chats, your favorite channel on YouTube. Yep, it's a channel that we often try to talk on topical issues. In recent time, we've talked on issues around politics, Nigeria, Kenya, for instance, in Europe, developmental issues, even in politics in the United States, and other regions or continents across the globe. In our last episode specifically, we did commented on the relationship between the United States President Donald Trump and Elon Musk, which I would really encourage you to watch, try to watch it, and encourage your friends as well to watch that particular episode, which is quite doing well. Please don't forget that it's also important you ask your friends to subscribe to the channel and also share the YouTube channel as well so that we can continue to expand the subscriber base of this channel. In this particular episode, I'll be commenting on something very vital to me, which is on the political or the scheming of the politicians in Nigeria ahead of the general election in coming next 2 years. So the presidential or the general election will be happening in 2027, barely about 2 years from now. But the political class in the country has really been scheming and working towards, especially the opposition groups, working towards unseating the present government in power. The present government in power uh, is in the party, in the APC, whereas just previous few days ago, the opposition groups has decided to sort of come on a platform of ADC. And if everything goes well, as it is being kind of done now or being trying to harmonize together right now, the opposition group might be contesting on the platform of the ADC against the APC. Yeah, as much as we might not be able to say that Nigerians, I mean, by not generalizing that Nigerians are really displeased about the current government in power, but I think it's appropriate to mention that Nigerians, or a lot of Nigerians generally are really not pleased about the state of the economy, especially state of insecurity currently in the country. And for me, particularly, I think I'm really not a fan of the current president. And so I'm not a fan of his presidency simply because I think I expected a lot from him. For someone like me, that was quite aware of those events, series of events that happened during the annulment or after the annulment of the June 12 election in 1992, with the formation of the opposition groups, Radio Kudirat. I was actually listening to Radio Kudirat. My dad would play it and we listened to it. And I was familiar with some of those names and voices and things like that, even with the name of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the current president. So for me, I think I expect a lot from him, especially looking at someone who fought the military, someone who seems to have fought or be on the side of the people, beside of the low voices of the people of the country. So one would expect that he should have done a lot more than what we are currently experiencing in the country. For instance, in the area of spending, I really think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu um, hasn't been handling the aspect of spending of the country's wealth, in the sense that the government seems to have been sort of reckless in their own spending. I will cite just few examples. For instance, the purchase of the new presidential jets, which I think is not necessary. People will say that a Nigerian president needs a befitting presidential jet. But I also believe that, of course, that is true. But for a government that keep on saying that people should be patient, Nigeria is going through a lot of reform and things like that. People need to be patient. People need to cut their coat according to their size. But the government is not especially doing the same. So if you are telling the people that they need to be patient, they need to tighten their belts, they need to be careful in spending. So as a government, I think people should see that from you. So for me, for someone like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who seems to have fought, on the side of the people against the military, I wouldn't expect such a person to take that kind of bold step, even less than just few months to his presidency, to acquire a new presidential jet, which is so exorbitant in price, about 18 billion naira. That would have done a lot in addressing some of the critical challenges in the country, like the challenge of insecurity, which obviously it's all obvious that the military doesn't have what it takes in terms of the equipment to fight, the militant. So imagine spending such amount of money in acquiring a new presidential jet. And by the way, why does it need a new presidential jet? Someone who is acclaimed to be rich, for instance, even looking at the aspect of being even rich and wealthy, I would expect that someone like that will just come into government and sort of run a very transparent, honest kind of government, even having been criticized because a lot of things have been said against him that people don't know. His ancestral origin is being questioned. People don't know much. I mean, a lot is shredded in secrecy regarding his study life, his academics. You know, people seems not to know if he has even studied in secondary school, for instance. Of course, seems to have been a confirmed stories about him attending Chicago State University or thereabout. But there are a lot of questionable things about him. So I would expect someone like that to do a lot. Maybe not trying to buy, the people's sentiment, people's emotion, but just to paint a picture to the people that he is someone who people knew to have fought on behalf of the people, and at the same time, he is actually a president of the people right now, and is out there to do the need or to do the bidding of the poor by even telling Nigerians that he won't be taking a salary, for instance. Of course, the salary of the president I don't think it's as much as 5 million naira, which is sort of small. But by the time you see such a pronouncement from the president, that as the president of Nigeria, considering what the country is going through, he isn't going to be taking a salary from the government. That sends a very strong signal to the people, and that tends to give the people an impression that we seems to have a government or a president that kind of empathize with the people. And that also send a kind of a strong signal even to the member of his own cabinet, because if you have informed Nigerians that you are not going to be on salary, you will try as much as possible to cut your coat according to your sizes, reduce the size of the cabinet and all sort of that. So the cabinet itself will see. I mean, people will see the body language of the government. So for me, those are some of the disappointment I've seen from the part of the government as well. And this is more than 2 years now in power. Uh, Insecurity has since become a sort of a terrible thing in the country, which during the campaign, I think I heard the president saying that he's going to recruit coast guards, to be in the forest, to guard forest reserves, as to prevent killings, stopping the farmers and herders clash and things like that. Over 2 years, nothing has been done about that. So for me, I think I would say that I'm not a fan and at the same time kind of disappointed. And so one might not be surprised as well that a lot of Nigerians might also have similar opinion about the president, and so much more, even the political class. And that is why the political class are now, sort of scheming to see how they they might or they could possibly unseat the president in 2027. And I think that goal or that aspiration is a very tall dream to achieve. In as much I'm not on the part of the president, I'm not his fan as well. I really want to believe that to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be a very tough one. Particularly for my own judgment, I think the most scheming or the most or I would say the best politician in terms of scheming in terms of politics in Nigeria, I think is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. For me, I think he's an individual who knows Nigerian politics very well. He knows how to play it. He know how to scheme himself. He know what it takes to win an election. So I believe having such an individual, even as a president who has all kind of influences in government, it will be very, very difficult to unseat such an individual. So the political class, the political group will need to do a lot more than what we are currently seeing in the ADC. Because for me, even the the coming together of this political, the opposition group itself, for okay, we can say this is just the starting point. So they have more room to cover, they have more things to address to make the opposition a formidable one. But if they really want to make the opposition a formidable one, and the one that would definitely unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they really need to work on a lot of things. Uh, Even the structure of the ADC itself, that is the coalition structure itself, is I would say it's commendable, but at the same time, it's really not impressive. When you look at the caretaker chairman, which is David Mark, I have known David Mark as long as I've been conversant or reading up Nigerian politics. I can't really pinpoint any vital thing or any positive thing, attributed to David Mark, apart from being the Senate president for some years. For when you look at the secretary himself, secretary of the coalition party, which is AGC, Rahul Aregbesola, people have said, and I've read, I've listened to people who have really singled Aregbesola out as one of the, if not one, the best friend of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I think things were solved between both. And so now Raul Aregbesola seems to be pitching his tent with the opposition group. But the fact is that can we really say much about him, about Raul Aregbesola, for instance? He was a governor for 8 years in Osun State. And thereafter, he became a minister of interior during the Buhari administration just a few years ago. In that particular role, Aregbesola oversee the Interior Ministry in Nigeria when jails, prisons, you know, were being broken. We had series, at least not more than two, three case scenarios where prisoners let loose in the prisons, and I guess there are still countable number of prisoners that are yet to be accounted for or yet to be taken back from the streets and back to the prison. So during his own tenure, I mean, Raul Aregbesola, who was the Minister of Interior, you can't really say, I mean, you can't really say you are proud of such an individual, not even now to say he's now one of the image maker of the political opposition political group. So I think the opposition political group, as it is now, this seems to have kind of carry out a well orchestrated plan to come up uh, and adopt a political platform, which is the ADC. But even the political platform itself, I've also listened to For instance, the immediate presidential aspirant of that particular political class. And he was also throwing stone and at that adoption of his own platform as a key political platform against the incumbent president. So a lot need to be done by this political opposition political class, if indeed they really are bent on sitting the current president. So apart from even the image maker of this group, which is David Mark and Aregbesola, which you can hardly even lay hold to any positive thing about them. So talk about the key or the potential contenders uh, of potential presidential contenders, which is Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and possibly Amechi, for instance. I think Nigerian political landscape is not the type that is actually known with surprises. So at the end of the day, in 2027, we are likely to see the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, contesting either against Atiku Abubakar or against Peter Obi. I really don't think Amechi has what it takes to lead Nigeria. Uh, I really don't think he has what it takes to lead Nigeria because he was also ex-governor for 8 years in Rivers State. I guess he did so much during his time. I visited River State. And one of the things I think I noticed then was that because I visited a secondary school and I could see infrastructural development and development in secondary school in the state during that time. But during the time of his administration, also as the Minister of Transport, I think he did a few things as well. But for me, I think it's likely to be the leading candidate for the opposition from the opposition group might either be Atiku Abubakar or Peter Obi. Why the choice of Abubakar might also be a very difficult one is also because the current president, which is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a southerner, and it's believed or technically that the next 8 years, I mean, the current one should be 4 years. Then after 2027, again, another 4 years. So this 8 years should be for the the tenure of the Southerners. So, and it's only kind of arguable that it is reasonable to have a northern president after 2031. So having Atiku Abubakar might be a difficult choice for the opposition group because it might be so difficult to convince Southerners, to vote for Atiku Abubakar against a Southern president, Ahmed Tinubu, even if Tinubu eventually did not live up to expectation by 2027. I expect that before 2027, he will have more reason. I mean, the current president will have more reason to improve on some of the things that he has set out for. In as much I as I really want to support some of his policies such as a fuel subsidy removal, floating of exchange rates. I really don't see anything bad about those policies. But the fact is that, especially the removal of fuel subsidy, I believe that hasn't been handled well. So fuel subsidy was removed at the same time when you decide to float the exchanges. So you expect high inflation. This is normal. So when you think you know that this is what is expected, one will expect that a lot should have been done to cushion the effects of that inflation. Nothing was done. As a matter of fact, several months into that administration, the 70,000 naira minimum wage was approved. Even until now, 2 years after, there are people who hasn't received, or ministries or states who hasn't yet implemented the 70,000 minimum wage. So that is a hell of a thing. So you just succeeded in further impoverishing people. So as much as those policies were not really bad, the implementation were just kind of a shambles. So if the government is able to improve on some of these things ahead of 2027, it will be definitely be difficult to convince majority of Southerners to vote in Northern Atiku Abubakar against Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So, and when you look at the candidacy also, if you assume that someone like Peter Obi is going to lead the opposition against Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in as much as Peter Obi seems to have commanded a lot of supporters from the southeast as well, even North Central as well, and even the youth as well, which make up the large population of the Nigerian voting population as well. It might also be a very challenging one to convince to convince majority of the Northerners to vote Peter Obi against uh, Tinubu, and especially when you have if either of them, or let's say if Tinubu is able to kind of rally around or possibly change his vice presidential candidate to a more robust northern political figure. That might be very, very challenging one for the opposition to tackle. For me, I will think that the opposition will need to do more about talking to a lot of strong northern politicians to rally around the opposition group. People like Rabbi Kwakwanso, for instance, who is known to be a formidable force in the north. I think such candidate is very key in winning that election against the incumbent president. And it's also been said that the current president is also trying to woo the same person, trying to woo Rabi Kwakwanso to APC. And possibly, who knows, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a very known strategic politician. So he could also possibly be eyeing someone like Rabi Kwakwanso to be a replacement VP to him. If that is the case, then it's almost a done deal that Bola Ahmed Tinubu might kind of become an unbeatable or undefeated president coming 2027. Uh, but the opposition group says they have a lot on their sleeves. Hopefully, they are able to woo as many of those key northern elites, if especially someone like Peter Obi will end up being the leading opposition candidate. If that is the case, that will be a very tough election coming 2027. I mean, if you end up seeing Peter Obi against someone like Tinubu, or seeing Peter Obi uh, and also having a vice president in the name of Rabi Kwakwaso, for instance, contesting against Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That would definitely be a very difficult election. But the fact is that when you look at the files or the rank and file of the opposition class, there seems to be well, especially when you look at Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Mechi, maybe even Rabi Kwakwanso, for instance. These are people who are not likely to kind of um, step down for each other. If for someone like Rabi Kwakwanso can be a running mate to Peter Obi, for instance, that would definitely be a very difficult one for the ruling party. Or if Peter Obi, for instance, as is being rumored, will be a vice to Atiku Abubakar, I doubt if that will also fly because Peter Obi's key followers, which are the youth, the obedient movement, are not likely to buy into that. And majority of the Southerners might not also buy into that. So I guess the opposition group have limited choice to make. So seeing them coming together now is a good thing in good direction, but they have to do much more than what they have just unveiled last week. So that is all I just want to say regarding the coming presidential election in 2027, 2 years from now. And Nigerian politicians are really jostling around trying to make sure that they have their rights square in the right peg in the right square, in the right hole. I hope at the end we have good candidates that will put the needs, the aspiration of Nigerians first, and we'll see the country becoming the country that we love to be. Thank you so much. It's your favorite channel with chat. I don't know, as Nigerians, do you have varying opinion regarding what is going on, the political scheming in the country? Express your comments in the comment section, and let's continue to talk about that. I think that we have a lot to talk about regarding the political scenario or the political ecosystem between now and 2027 Nigeria. Before then, stay tuned to With Chat. Don't forget that you are encouraged to recommend the channel and continue to share the link to your friends. Thank you.